We are live with the man with the balls. Look at all those balls behind that baller. And Forrest here is tough. That's what I've heard. So I've wanted to interview him for a while now. Welcome to the show, Mr. Forrest Tuff.
Hey, glad to be here, Jessica. Good to finally talk to you.
It's nice. I discovered Mr. Tuff. I love your name, Tuff. No pressure on you, but let's see muscles, right?
Yeah, hey, listen, you had to live up to the name.
Tough. Wow. You were born tough or you changed it?
No, I had to work into it. I had to do it. And you can imagine when Forrest Gump came out. So now I'm dealing with this whole.
Yeah. Oh, that was a rough 20 years, huh?
It was rough.
Well, there's worse people can be compared to than a genius with really high levels of dedication.
Exactly. And life is like a box of chocolates. That stuff.
Yeah, that's lovely. Okay, so Mr. Forrest, I saw you at an event a couple months ago, and I thought, I want to talk to this guy because your career took many different curveballs, and I'm just wondering, how did you get to where you are? Is it a passion for making film? And usually filmmakers aren't on stage, so how do you do both roles?
Interestingly enough, when I, started back from ball, there were a lot of athletes that had tunnel vision. I was one of those. I really was like NBA or bust. And so when you hit the bust, you now have to try to figure out what's next. And so, in school, I always had a camcorder. I was always recording parties and just events in my life. And this is before social media really took off. So that's kind of how I got into the media business. It was kind of exclusive then to have that camera, and so I started that business. And that's how I got into the behind the scenes. And I'm not even doing films yet. I'm actually working with companies, doing music videos, things of that nature, just really trying to make money. Because it's like, you don't know what you want to do. That was just that thing now, just try to make some money. So that's how it kind of got started.
I love how, I have to say this, it is Women's Month and it just passed Women's Day. And women talk about all the time, how we can't talk about earning money somehow, or we can't sell it in the same energy because the way we were socialized. And it's just it just rolls off your tongue so easily. And I guess I'm envious. It's just you got to make money. When you say it, I go, yeah, of course. But somehow if I say I'm in this industry and I'm good at speaking and I love what I do and I got to make money. It's It's just owning what you are good at and going for it. We don't apologize for being good basketball players because we were born athletic and we train for 3 hours a day. We deserve to be good at basketball, right?
You're right.
But somehow when it's your art or your part of who you are, sometimes there's this, I don't know, have you ever experienced this or do you see this in your world?
Yeah, I understand your trend. And, it's something that fortunately is changing for women. When you think about it, I guess from a traditional standpoint, if we go traditional, that was something that a man was measured by, his ability to create income. So, there's that pressure that men had to deal with where are you valid? What makes you valid as a man? And so, if you're an earner or if you're able to do something, that was the standard. So I think coming from that traditional space, when I talk, I realized that was my value. If I'm just a guy who can't make a living, I'm a bum. And that's how, unfortunately, that's how women saw you. If you're a guy who didn't have money, women are do something. So it's funny you say that, but that is definitely a thing of how it just rolls off because, that is how you were seen as valid by your accomplishments and your ability to earn.
Do you think that's, I do have empathy for men because as a therapist, I know how easy it is for women because we're socialized to express emotions and we're allowed to cry, right? And I'm sure men want to cry sometimes, but you're not allowed to do that because you got to be tough, right?
Tough.
Born tough, and you can't cry because then you're us. So I wonder, do you think it's changing how men are appreciated? Or is it still pretty much how many balls and trophies you got on your wall and how shiny the watch is for society to appreciate you? Do you feel that pressure?
I think there's a balance. And I think as a man who, you come up in a state where social media isn't so prevalent and you grow into that world. So now with social media being so prevalent, I think there's a balance. So I think a man can't be all bravado. There has to be more substance to you than just your accomplishments. You have to be able to have empathy, feel the needs. That's why one of the things that I've always done is I've always been a person that gives back. And that's been a part of my life as long as that being an earner was. And I think that's just something that I've grown to. But I also think there's that balance. I think there are some women that still have a traditional feeling. It may not, you like a guy and you like to see that he's an earner or that he can provide. But at the same point in time, you don't want that to be the only thing that comes off, because that can be annoying. It's like the male energy is like, so much, it's only so much we can take. So yeah, there's got to be a balance. You don't walk into a room and you start talking about what you do and who you are. That's outdated. You're more interested in what are other people doing. Tell me about you. I want to know about you, because that's fun.
Unless it's an interview about you. So let's get back to
about you. Then that's when you get that opportunity to be a man.
That's why it's so nice to be appreciated. And I'm sure men, just like women, like dogs, like cats, like everything, likes attention and likes to be cared for and know that they are safe where they are. So it's superhuman. It's super normal. Didn't want to say superhuman. Super normal that we want to be seen and heard and appreciated. So I went towards speaking because I love it. And it's a bonus that I get to put my picture everywhere. My narcissistic North American side definitely thrives off that. Do you think there's a lot of people after they have their accomplishments that now are like, well, now I want to talk about it, that that's not enough? And do you see speaking as a way to elevate your status? Or are most of us just like drawn to the stage? Or how did it happen for you?
Honestly, for me, I was pulled to the stage because, in my line of work, I was behind the scenes. I've always been behind the scenes. And, even as a former athlete, I enjoyed the limelight, but, I didn't gravitate to it because I know that if you believe the hype, you'll become unbearable as a person. So I try not to ever dig into the hype because it's all fabricated, right? It is a thing. It's a thing, but some of it is, you can't believe your own hype. So for me, becoming a speaker was, hey, we'd like for you to share your expertise. And so I come out and I realize I'm not great at sharing that with a group of people as I am maybe one-on-one. So that's where I got into Toastmasters, NSA, and really started to hone in on my message. And then I got into the business of it because, when you get paid a certain amount, you're like, wait a minute, you'll pay me this to speak? Yeah, all right. So yeah, I'll get better. I'll do better. So that was kind of my journey. It was more, I was brought into it, but when I saw the impact it had on people and also the revenue, once again, I'm still traditional OB. I like the money aspect of it. So that was really what drove me.
Man, it's so refreshing. I was talking to my boyfriend about I think I like spending time with guys because they're just unapologetic. And I'm on a movement to help women be unapologetic. But it's like, men just say it as it is. And that's really refreshing, being like, you're going to pay me to talk and I make an impact? Of course. What better job is there? So no wonder March 14th is the International Speakers Day. Did you know?
Oh, really? Nice. Yeah. International Speakers. That's awesome.
Yeah, so on Friday you get to celebrate you with a cake with something jumping out of it if you got the budget for it. Yeah. So it's like, what better job is that than to help people with your own story? I think so many people wish they could do that.
Yeah.
And then they go to Toastmasters, which I joined when I was 16, and it takes them a year to do more than 2 speeches. It's like this huge fear of rejection and being seen overwhelms people, and they never step into the limelight, even though they want to be there. I think most of them do.
You're right. No, you're absolutely right. And it's one of those things. I think about everything that I've dealt with in life, what helped me to deal with this. And I think I dealt with rejection early. A part of growing up as an athlete is you fail a lot and your coach tells you get up. You know, you don't stay down. You get up and you get back and go for more. So really, failing becomes a part of just the process. It's not this overwhelming thing that that is more overwhelming than winning, because they go hand in hand. You know, and so when you realize that, hey, a part of getting to a place of owning something or being impactful is you have to fail along the way, because that's where you learn your biggest lessons. And so that's what you really share with people. You share with them those stories. They love to hear how much you fail, because, you know, hey, you're on the stage. They're like, oh, we get it. You know, you're doing great for yourself, but tell us how you overcame, because we're in that place now. So that's that's the thing that I really like, is sharing that journey of like, wow, man, and I'm supposed to be great, and here I am, blah, 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 and I fail. And they're like, yes, he failed, because I just failed, and I want to figure out how to get out of this place.
That's beautiful. You say a lot of wise things so matter-of-factly. I enjoy, there's like little nuggets in what you're saying. What I'm hearing is that failure for athletes is not such a big deal, because we're used to it. Every game, you go home like, how did I miss that shot? I can't believe I didn't get that foul shot in. You know, when all the pressure's on you and you're down by 1 and you miss the foul shot, and you feel like your team hates you, but they don't. And it was just one game out of hundreds.
It's the next game. So, you know, you could be hot and shoot an air ball, and the entire crowd, air ball, air. You're dealing with it, and you have to stay in the moment and realize, okay, that just happened. Now I got to come back. So that's just a part. It's just a part of the everyday life and the whole process. So I think those are some things that I've been able to incorporate into my life now, to where it's just like, yeah, this is part of the process.
I didn't realize how important my basketball career was in forming me. I thought, like, yeah, I have a lot of confidence, but I didn't realize that I'm not really afraid of failure, and it's probably to do with being like a semi-professional athlete for half of my life. And I didn't appreciate that. I want all kids to be in sports. And what's better to teach your kids to deal with bullying, to deal with not liking themselves, to deal with all things except for sports? Do you advocate sports for young people? Is that something you've done?
Yeah, I love to work with athletes, mentoring, just talking about the process, you know, even, you know, being a father and having that process of having kids. And I had, you know, a kid to play Division I sports. And so it's just, there's that process of helping people have a balance. I believe in balance. You know, I also believe, hey, sports are great. You're going to lose, but you want to win. That's the point. And now keep in mind, I'm in the USA. All right. So sometimes you have to conform to where you are. In the USA, you know, it's about the winning. You know, it's about win. But you also have to teach there's a balance. So a lot of what we do now is not just about winning. It's like, who are you when you lose? You know, so when you lose, what do? Do you go throw a temper tantrum? I understand you feel a certain way, but how do you bounce back from that? How do you treat people when you're losing? Because that's the greatest test of your character when things aren't going great. And so for me, working with athletes is definitely about molding their mindsets when they go through this process, because you can get this elitist attitude to where you're uncoachable. You're not even someone that people like to be around, or if they're around you, it's simply for what you do, not, you know, person.
You are inspirational. Thank you. Okay, tell me a little bit more. You won an award. I can't remember the total name of the award, but tell me what that meant to you as doing your work.
So really, now, if we're talking about speaking, I can talk about, if you're a Toastmaster, have you ever heard of the accredited speaker credential?
Yeah, not many people do that. You did that?
Exactly. Not many people. We know about the world champion of public speaking, and that's an awesome thing, but that's more of a contest. You know, it's a contest, you know, amongst the peers within Toastmasters. The accredited speaker is a professional designation where you have to do a certain amount of talks, maybe 25 that are paid, you know, at least 15 to 20 of them with a certain amount of people. So it's more of the business of speaking. Yeah. So it's not really a competition. It's more of like, how do you interact with an organization, sign the contracts, you know, now go into the business of preparing your talk that's not in front of a Toastmasters crowd. And they're looking at you going, hey, give me something. I need something. We're paying you. Tell us something. So it's a little different. And there's only right now, I think 95 in the world. So that was one of the things for me that I thought would help boost my speaking career as I went on this journey.
And did it?
Yeah, it has. It has created space, but once again, it wasn't like, oh, accredited speaker, let's move everyone to the left. No, it doesn't work that way. This is still a relationship business. The speaking business is about relationships. When I watch your videos, when I saw your video where you're traveling and you're building relationships, you're touching people. And those are the things that can help you go way past an accreditation if you don't understand that the accreditation is a thing that can get you in the room. Hey, it makes it a little interesting. What is that? Now it's like, let's build this relationship, because really that's where the business is. We know AI is here. Hey, I love AI, but AI at this point aren't cutting checks. It's people.
That's really good advice. This morning, the Virtual Speakers Association, they had a party for all the presidents of the 17 associations underneath the Global Speakers Federation. And of course, NSA, which you're a member of, and I'm part of the Virtual Speakers Association and the UK one. We're all like buddies under this umbrella. And it's so interesting to see that in 5 years, I knew almost everyone in the room because of COVID, actually. Because our relationships grew on LinkedIn and these conferences that we do for free for people to get into the speaking industry. And it was so delightful because, as you say, very normally, you mention it, but of course it's about the relationships, because you don't really get anywhere unless you have some kind of good relationship. So you can be the best speaker in the world, you can be the best basketball player in the world, the hottest guy in school, but if nobody likes you, yellow-haired man of America, right? Like, well, half of America likes him, but you have to have either power or be likable to kind of make it anywhere. So I guess if you're not likable, go for power and money.
That's right. And you're doing a great job with using humor. I notice how you use humor, because humor is universal. Everyone, well, not everyone, but most people like to feel good. Most people like to have some brevity or laugh, because in these circles everything is so tense, you're nervous. And so when you find someone that comes in and they're smiling, first of all, that's the biggest thing. You're always smiling, and it unarms people. It takes away this defense, like I have to be something that I'm not. I can laugh. Oh, okay, great. Yeah, this is, I like it. So I think what you're doing is amazing, because laughter is a great thing for people to unite, because I'm all about people. I really am. I really enjoy people, and I really like the concept of people coming together, because that to me is the bridge. That's really the bridge overall.
So what I have been noticing is I've been to these conferences in the last years, and just recently we were in Bali, and I noticed a lot of people are using a lot of ChatGPT in their presentations, and they're not interacting with the audiences. And I just went, what the hell are we doing? Because if we aren't interactive at a high level, I think our careers are over. And I don't know if it's too bold to say that, but if we're not engaging, the expert speaker is not going to get as many minutes on the stage anymore. How do you see the entertainment level of a speaker nowadays with all this competition?
Well, I've seen a lot. I've seen people breaking out of instruments, full-on bands. I think the speaking business, because it's so competitive, 15 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, you knew all the great speakers on one hand, two hands. Now there are thousands of speakers, and like anything else, you have to find out what works for you, because if a speaker is up there doing something and it's not authentic, it won't resonate with the crowd. They'll know you're phony. So you have to find something that's authentic to you, and you have to find a way to not only give something but interact in a way. And so I think I've seen a lot of things that I'm like, wow, that's pretty interesting. I've actually seen some things I'm like, I wish I could do that. It's just not something that I could do. So I have to find my lane. So it's been interesting on this journey, just finding my lane and learning how to grow that.
Yeah, that's great. It is a huge market, and I don't know if it's getting bigger or smaller. I've yet to understand that yet. All I know is that if you're not engaging and entertaining, your future is limited because people have low attention spans now. And you can use so much with AI that there's no reason to be doing like old school, like PowerPoint with those emojis and those little art pieces from like 1995, right? It's just, I don't think that Gen Zs will put up with it. So I do want to learn from younger people because they know the energy and we know like the business part of it. So I'd love to see an association actually for young people, and hopefully they would take me.
Yeah, that's great because we're entertainers at this point. You know, we're not just speakers, we're entertainers. So we have a crowd that's like, listen, you have 25, 50 minutes, please entertain us so we don't go to sleep. So that's our job. And we have to do it in a way that actually hits some points that they can take away from. And, you know, the people that are putting these conferences together can go, thank you for driving home that point, but in a way that they can receive it. So, you know, that is our challenge. And, you know, even if we're using Chat GPT, we have to still remember we entertain. We don't just talk at people. We have to entertain.
Love it. We're gonna end on that because that's what I was dying to hear from someone in the industry with lots more experience than I have. And I love the balance that you have of realistic and then vulnerable and just like straight up, you gotta make money. Like very, very authentic. I thank you for your time. Anything last you want to share with us? A little nugget of wisdom or promote something you're doing?
Well, I would tell anyone, just make sure whatever you do, enjoy what you're doing and make sure that it's something that's sustainable for you. Don't put yourself in a hole trying to do something. Make sure it's something sustainable for your livelihood and also for what you're capable of doing.
Hallelujah. Sustainable in every way. Thank you, Mr. Tuff. You're not so tough. You're quite lovely, actually.
Thank you so much, Jessica. It was great talking to you.
Nice. Thanks, Forrest.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.